Welcome back, one and all, to the Invitational. Welcome to Round 3, Group 1. Group 1, of course, being the second group. That makes sense. In this portion of Angles Through Oblivion. As we only saw this current group of 3 for a split second, let's take a little bit of a closer look. Up first there, alphabetically, we've got, of course, Colonel Mustard, a relatively heavily modified SCX10III. Followed by Daphne the Sport, who is a fairly heavily modified TRX-4 Sport. And closing out this group, Lil Yella, who is based on an element and is really just kind of his own thing. Of course, before any competitor can face Oblivion, they must have first faced the spinner. So this group of 3 will go up against the haphazardly constructed, sometimes fast, sometimes slow spinner, which will choose who run first. And that would be Daphne, who will be out first of the group of 3. Then we look at the remaining 2. It's a 50-50 chance whether you run second or last. And this time around, the needle decides to take a little while to come around on that victim running second, Colonel Mustard. Never one to lollygag or lay about, Daphne is heading directly out onto the course to complete her run. As she has watched the previous competitors, she would be the third TRX-4 axled rig to be attacking this course, and the lightest, certainly, so far of the TRX-4 based rigs. We will see how her combo of Duratrax Deep Woods and those oh-so-heavy Hot Storm alloy beadlocks. We'll see how they do on this sort of a surface. I can say here, even early on, that I genuinely think that her portal axles will give her an advantage in this round over her 2 competitors, as this ground surface is very broken, and it's just going to come down to how well can our competitors manage to make these in-course transitions. The gates are plenty wide compared to, proper gates, but they have to be attacked at such angles that some of the clearances are quite tight. And then here we have what on-road would be called off-camber, because there's no real way to get down that. The clearance of the gate puts you out in such a way that you're going to end up in an unfriendly position. Daphne opting to just take a reverse here, doing a little 3-point turn to come back down through gate 3. She clears that quite handily. She is one of the more narrow rigs of the group. She saves some trouble for future competitors by pushing that loose chunk of concrete completely out of the way. We will now see how her suspension setup manages gate 4, which has been a problem for some up till now. She is taking this very slowly and very deliberately, and I think rightfully so. She is sort of a truggy style layout, so a roll here would probably not end in a complete roll, so she's making every effort to keep it rubber side down, and honestly, that looked relatively effortless on Daphne's part. She did not seem to be expending any extra effort through there. Deepwood's pulling her up nicely. Another kind of angled gate here. She's got a little slide, and there's the touch. She's down, and she has elected to complete the final gate of the course in a lightened configuration, runs over her own body for good measure. It's not a roll if she ends on her wheels, and there is nothing explicitly stated in the rules that says you must finish a run in the exact same configuration that you began. So long as you don't, fall apart to the point where you can no longer move, everything here is good. She's very diagonal through this gate as well. But once that front tire edges through, I think she's pretty good. Got to be careful not to roll here, as this would certainly end in a rollover. And she's through start finish, just looking at the course behind her. Wasting absolutely no time in their effort to outrun the sun, Colonel Mustard approaches the start finish, takes a little look out over the course, makes his way towards gate 1. We'll see how he does. He's the most unlike the other two. I mean, we do have a variety of gearboxes here. We've got a variety of different tire styles. He's the only of the three with full width bumpers. He's got the biggest body. He's got the biggest overhangs. We will see how he does. He, without any drama, passed through gate 1. Just getting a little slip there on the canyon trails on that kind of chopped approach to gate 2. He's now up and over that. Takes that gate rather handily. It's just going to come down to how he manages this. Small application of dig there. Lining up pretty well, honestly, to gate 3. No tumbles there. Lined up and just drives on through like he's moving into a parking space. The Colonel doing really well through the first 3 gates. Swinging it wide around, trying to dodge things like cameras. Approaching gate 4. Now with how his center of gravity is, how the 10.3's weight sits, there's some unintentional slipper applying. He's pretty mired in there. Again, full width bumpers. You can see quite a bit of body lift when he put it into reverse. He was pretty well dug down into that hole. Something is hung in the front suspension arm or something. Did not even make it to the gate. Rolled out cleanly, so that is neither a rollover nor a gate strike. He didn't hit anything on the way down. He's opting for a completely different approach, which props to the Colonel for that. He's going quite wide, but can he? Nope. Marker rolled out. I was wondering if he could keep that front wheel high enough to just kind of swing over it, but I think he will gladly take just the 7, as he's made it through to there with just 1 gate strike. See if the canyon trails will hold him up high enough to keep a tire off that marker. And they do indeed. He's now in a bit of a predicament. And he's really nestled in there. That's a little bit of a V-notch, so he's not going to get rolled over. And unfortunately, he has to be reset back to gate 5, which is just a little tunnel, so he's going to reset himself. Much respect due to the addition of Velcro sides and that wooden, inexplicably still working servo mount, which gave him dig, as dig has been an enormous transformation for the Colonel. It's not the best dig in the world, but it's dig, and even dig that mostly works is better than no dig at all, particularly in the case of the Colonel. That dig allowed him to line himself up just dead center down between the markers, slow rolling down here through the start finish, and makes it through without a problem. He does have quite a bit of ground clearance, and that ends the Colonel's day here in round 3, leaving just 1 competitor left to attack Angles Through Oblivion, and that would be none other than Lil Yella. So we'll see how Yella does. There are indeed 2 outrunner rigs, Yella being 1. They have roughly the same KV. I believe, to my understanding, they have the same amp output speed controls. Their configurations are quite similar between Daphne and Yella. The primary difference being that Yella is on straight axles, so he is going to rely much more on his tires than Daphne does. The deep wood is a bit shorter than the hold. The hold is helping hold Yella up a little higher, but he's having to adjust his line quite a bit. He's actually, now that we check the notes, he is the first straight axled rig to hit the course yet. That's a very tight angle. He's got the hold, a very good dig tire, manages to pull him around, and I believe clear of that gate. I'm unsure. The judges have their scores locked in, and he takes a big roll down. The holds do have a tendency to just catch and release. He's down on the other side, giving it max throttle, giving it a lot of throttle, and if we see here in slow-mo, as if by magic, tire got in between a little notch there, shot him up. There's a definite moment of, right here, this whole situation is what happens when you've got 3 to 5 inch thick verticals and straight axles. He is going to attempt to come around so as not to have to use the reverse. Continues to A3, but he's having a problem just getting back on the course. He's pretty well lined up now. Probably going to dig swing this around. It does, but the nature of the materials kind of pushed him out wide, so he has to use the reverse there. He's now just going to drop cleanly down through 3. He's going to swing it around out between the camera stands and bring it around to 4, and we will see how his performance through 4 looks compared to Daphne's. Yellow with a slightly longer wheelbase, slightly taller tire. Also taking it very slowly. Very stable through here. Yella not having really much issue at all. Belly sliding a little across there. But he gets clear. And pretty much cleans that right through the middle. Good exhibition of flex there. I think Daphne, by her having portals, she cleared that a little easier. Now we'll see how the holds do on a sort of off angle side hilly gate here through 5. His rear end is hanging up on that entry. He's taking it very slowly. He knows Daphne did well. So he's trying to stay high, but not too high. I couldn't tell. It looked like he just breathed on it. But we will see how that is scored at the end when they are all tallied, and we see the scoreboard for the progression. See if he can pull his dig around here and not have to apply reverse to get cleanly through 6. As 6 is in a tough location. I thought he was going for a reverse there. We had a big opposite lock wheel turn. Again, the hold, a very good dig tire, pulled him right around. Flexes straight down through the start finish. And that ends the first second group here in round 3, leaving us nothing but going through the scores. The save file was successfully located, so the look at the scores throughout round 3 will be the same. It will be this exact configuration. And we go through it as we did before. Daphne cleared with just a single reverse and a single gate touch and no rollovers, giving her a round total of just 9 points. The man in the middle for this group was, of course, Colonel Mustard, who had either 1 or 2 reverses. I think we decided on 2. 1 gate and 1 rollover, giving him a fairly respectable round total of 21 points. And how could we forget the last competitor of the second group of round 3, Lil Yella, who finished his with a single reverse, and like Daphne, a single gate and no rollovers, giving him a matching total of just 9 points. So here we have to try to find an image for the unexpected, as, there we go. There's the tie for first, as we didn't really have anything prepared for two-way tie for first. There are the scores as they were run. 9, 21, 9. In any other group, 21 would probably be really good. And here they are fed in to the total scoreboard. We are now halfway through round 3. And honestly, our hearts are full of fear that a couple more guys are going to run 9s, and we're going to end up with some other sort of intermediate round to determine who goes where. But that's for future us. That's for the future people. For now, it will just bring a close to this installment of the Invitational.